The Florida sun beat down on the golf course, casting long shadows and creating a serene atmosphere. The air was warm, filled with the scent of freshly cut grass and the distant sound of waves crashing against the shore. It was a perfect day for golf, a perfect day to forget the troubles of the world. Donald Trump lined up his shot, the familiar weight of the club comforting in his hands. He took a deep breath, feeling the tension in his muscles ease as he focused on the ball. The world around him seemed to fade away, leaving only the green expanse of the course and the challenge of the game. It had been years since the weight of the world rested on his shoulders. Years since he had to make decisions that affected millions of lives. Now his biggest concern was perfecting his swing and enjoying the tranquility of the golf course. Years since the Oval Office, since rallies, since the endless news cycle. The constant scrutiny, the pressure, the never-ending demands on his time and energy. All of that was behind him now, replaced by the simple pleasures of retirement. He had traded power suits for golf shirts, the cacophony of Washington for the gentle lapping of waves against the shore. Life was good, peaceful, until it wasn't. The tranquility of the golf course was a stark contrast to the chaos he had left behind, a reminder of how much his life had changed.
"We have a problem, sir." The words cut through the peaceful atmosphere like a knife, shattering the illusion of calm.
A shadow fell across the green, darkening the bright day and casting a pall over the scene. It was as if the very air had changed, growing heavier with the weight of impending trouble. Trump looked up, squinting, into the face of a man he hadn't seen in years. The sun was bright, making it difficult to see clearly. But there was no mistaking the figure standing before him. Max, his former head of security. The man who had been by his side through thick and thin, who had protected him from countless threats. The man who always had his back. Max had been more than just a bodyguard. He had been a confidant, a friend. Someone Trump could rely on in the most difficult of times. Max's face was grim, his eyes shadowed. There was a seriousness in his expression that Trump hadn't seen before, a look that spoke of trouble and urgency. The easy smile that Trump was used to seeing was gone, replaced by a tense line. It was clear that whatever news Max had brought, it was not good. Trump felt a familiar chill run down his spine. Retirement was over. The peaceful days on the golf course, the quiet moments of reflection, all of it seemed to vanish in an instant. He knew that whatever was coming, it would demand his full attention and strength. The storm was about to break, and he had to be ready. Gone was the Florida sun, replaced by the sterile glow of Trump Tower. The city that never sleeps was now a sprawling labyrinth of lights and shadows, each corner hiding secrets waiting to be uncovered. The air was thick with tension, a palpable sense of unease that seemed to seep into the very walls of the tower. Trump paced the room, the city spread out beneath him like a glittering chessboard, each building, each street, a piece in a game of strategy and deception. He could feel the weight of the world pressing down on his shoulders, the enormity of the task ahead almost overwhelming, but he couldn't afford to falter now. Too much was at stake. Max's words echoed in his mind, a series of seemingly unconnected events, whispers of a threat unlike any the world had seen. It started small, a cyber attack on a power grid in Europe. At first it seemed like an isolated incident, a random act of sabotage, but then, the pattern began to emerge, a cyber attack on a power grid in Europe. The lights went out, plunging entire cities into darkness. Chaos ensued, and the world watched in horror as the fragility of modern society was laid bare. But this was just the beginning. A suspicious plane crash in the Himalayas. A commercial flight carrying hundreds of passengers vanished without a trace. The wreckage was found scattered across the mountains, but the cause of the crash remained a mystery. The world mourned, but the questions lingered. A string of assassinations, each target a leader in their respective fields. Scientists, politicians, business magnates, all taken out with surgical precision. The world was losing its brightest minds, and no one knew who was next. The fear was palpable, a shadow that loomed over every corner of the globe.
The common thread? No one claimed responsibility. No demands were made. It was as if the perpetrators were ghosts, striking from the shadows and then disappearing without a trace. The world was left to grapple with the uncertainty, the fear of the unknown.
Trump stopped pacing, his mind racing. He knew that this wasn't the work of a rogue state or a terrorist organization. The scale, the precision, the sheer audacity of the attacks, it pointed to something else entirely. Something bigger, more insidious. This wasn't the work of a rogue state or a terrorist organization. This was something else entirely, something bigger, more insidious, a shadow organization, operating in the dark corners of the globe, pulling the strings. But to what end? What was their ultimate goal? This was something else entirely, something bigger, more insidious, a shadow organization operating in the dark corners of the globe, pulling the strings. But to what end? What was their ultimate goal? The question swirled in his mind, each one more troubling than the last. A shadow organization operating in the dark corners of the globe, pulling the strings. But to what end? The more he thought about it, the more he realized that this was no ordinary conspiracy. This was a carefully orchestrated plan, designed to destabilize the world and create chaos. But who was behind it? And why? Trump, we need to find out who is behind this, Max. We need to dig deeper, uncover the truth, and put an end to this madness. The world is counting on us. We can't afford to fail, and we need to stop them, no matter the cost. The fate of the world hangs in the balance, and we are the only ones who can save it. The trail of breadcrumbs led them to Beijing, a city teeming with life and secrets. The sprawling metropolis, with its ancient history and modern marvels, was the perfect hiding place for those who wished to remain unseen. The heart of the dragon, where the old and new worlds collide in a dance of shadows and light. Trump and Max, traveling under assumed identities, navigated the crowded streets, their senses on high alert. The bustling markets, filled with the aroma of street food and the chatter of vendors, provided the perfect cover for their covert mission. Their intelligence suggested a high-level meeting was taking place, a gathering of individuals connected to the shadow organization. This was no ordinary meeting, it was a convergence of power and influence hidden from the prying eyes of the world. They infiltrated the meeting, a lavish affair held in a secluded mansion on the outskirts of the city. The mansion, with its opulent decor and tight security, was a fortress of secrets. The air crackled with tension as Trump surveyed the room. Every glance, every whisper, was a potential threat. The stakes were higher than ever. Diplomats, business tycoons, even a few familiar faces from the world of espionage. These were the power brokers, the ones who pulled the strings from behind the scenes. These were not just pawns in someone else's game. These were the players. Each one had their own agenda, their own secrets to protect.
We're getting closer, stay sharp. Every move we make is being watched.
Trump and Max moved through the crowd gathering information, their eyes peeled for their target. The city was a labyrinth of alleys and hidden corners, each one a potential hiding spot for their quarry. The man they believed to be the architect of the conspiracy. His movements were calculated, his demeanor calm, but there was an air of danger about him. But as they got closer, they realized they were walking into a trap. The alleyway, dimly lit and foreboding, seemed to close in around them. Every shadow, every sound, heightened their sense of impending danger. They had to think fast, their mission hanging by a thread. The dragon's lair was not just a place, it was a state of mind, a test of their resolve and cunning. As dawn broke over Beijing, the city began to stir. The dragon's lair had revealed its teeth, but Trump and Max were determined to see their mission through, no matter the cost. The mansion erupted in chaos, gunfire, screams, a blur of motion as security forces swarmed the building. Trump and Max fought their way through the pandemonium, their movements precise, deadly. They had been made. The element of surprise, gone. They fought their way to the roof, the night air thick with the smell of cordite and fear. A helicopter waited, its rotors churning the air into a frenzy, but their escape route was blocked by a wall of armed men.
We need to move.
Max yelled, firing his weapon. Trump didn't hesitate. He sprinted towards the edge of the roof, the ground hundreds of feet below. With a running leap, he jumped, his stomach lurching. He heard Max's shout behind him, then he was falling.